Well, I'm glad he wasn't charged. Colorado is an open carry state, and you can have a firearm in a public place as long as it's not federal property. And last I checked, Shotgun Willie's isn't federal property. Skip,
is it fair to categorize Shotgun Willie's as a strip club?
It's an adult entertainment.
Okay, thank you. Next.
And Skip, and the thing was, there is no way to prove that Ja was under the influence of alcohol. Now, you can't be intoxicated and carry a firearm. But just because he was at an establishment that serves alcohol and he had a firearm at said establishment, there is no way to prove that he was intoxicated just because said place serves alcohol.
True, although you could tell people around him were drinking. Go ahead.
But at least he wasn't drinking.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I mean, he
wasn't
doing the IG
actually
Live, right?
drinking. Yes.
Doing the IG Live, you couldn't do that. So, Skip, I'm glad. It looks like to me that the Glendale Police Department might have been a little grandstanding, because how were you going to be able to prove what you needed to prove? You didn't, and they said it. We didn't get a complaint.
Okay.
There was nothing going. So it just seemed like to me that, like, okay, we're going to investigate. Okay, exactly what were you investigating? I mean, so for me, Skip, I thought they were doing a little grandstanding, but I'm glad Ja wasn't charged. I'm glad, hopefully, this worked out in his favor. Hopefully, so other things coming down the road. The NBA is still investigating this matter. Because the NBA wants to know, how did Ja Morant get a firearm when he traveled from Memphis in Denver and it was on IG Live? Did that firearm travel with him from Memphis to Denver? Was that firearm in the arena? If it was, Ja Morant is going to be in big trouble with the NBA. Okay. That's what we know. So I'm glad this worked out in his favor. Hopefully, Ja, I hope he learned his lesson from this, and that, you know what, this could have ended up a lot worse than what it did. I'm learning my lessons. I'm learning maturing as a young man, and I'm going to move forward in my life. So I'm glad this worked out in his favor.
Okay, and your response before I launch on another announcement that he will be gone at least another 4 games.
Skip, I'm really not surprised. I think what they're trying to do is that they're trying to show the NBA, like, look, don't drop the hammer on them, because there's still a lot to play for the Memphis Grizzlies, Skip. They're still one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the Western Conference. No doubt. They feel good that they can come out of the Western Conference if everything goes their way. And so the Memphis Grizzlies said, look, they're trying to lessen the blow of potential punishment that the NBA might levy also, Skip.
Okay. I'll start with your Glendale police point. I'm with you. And again, I'm a little out of my league here because I'm not a legal eagle, so I don't know how all this works. But the more I read about their statement, the more I thought, well, then why were you investigating in the first place? Where was there even grounds for investigation? Well, the grounds was he went on IG Live and he dangled a gun. All right, so the first line of the statement is Glendale Police Department, GPD, was not able to determine that probable cause existed on the filing of any charges. Okay, fine, because as you say, that on the night in question, they received no calls.
So why were you investigating?
No calls, okay? Subsequently, no disturbances were reported, and no citizens or patrons of the club came forward to make any complaint. Okay. The investigation also concluded that no one was threatened or menaced with the firearm, and in fact, no firearm was ever located. What? Okay, and you were doing what? And you made it very public that you were investigating. You announced that you were investigating. You didn't do it quietly. You did it extremely publicly.
Skip, did they think Ja left the firearm at Shotgun Willie's? Because when you started the investigation, he was long gone. So, as you mentioned, Skip, so there was no disturbances. There was no citizens that came forward. So why were you investigating anyway? Normally, the police don't come to a residence unless there's a complaint. There's a noise ordinance. There's a dog barking. Someone called. No one did any of these things, but yet you investigated. Why?
Okay, and I'm absolutely not trying to exonerate Ja from dangling the gun on IG Live. He did that.
Yeah.
Okay, which brings me to the next point. It is illegal in Colorado to possess a firearm while under the influence of alcohol.
Right.
Okay, but we don't know for sure. Did he look like he was having a really good time?
Yeah.
Was his shirt off? Yes, it was. Was he sort of rapping along with the rap? Yeah, he was doing that. Did he appear to be celebrating? I don't know what he was celebrating. They had just gotten blown out in the second half. in that city by the Denver Nuggets at their arena,
Correct.
right? Because
Yes.
they were, again, Memphis was up 8 at half. They lost the game, let's see, they got outscored in the second half 63-39, and Ja went 2 for 10 in the second half as the leader, quarterback, best player on the floor, right?
Yes.
Best player on the team, anyway. So the point is, my first issue was, okay, it's 5:20 in the morning, and you are celebrating what? I don't know, but that's, people say, that's just kids today. They don't take it nearly as seriously as we used to take it, okay? I got it. Okay, now, what sticks for me is that, okay, now you've got the NBA issue here. NBA rules prohibit a player from possessing a firearm while on team property or traveling on team business. Well, you've made this point several times. Clearly, you were traveling on team business.
Yeah.
Does that mean at the arena, or is it okay to go to Shotgun Willie's and have a gun, but you're still on team business even if you're off hours,
But
right?
that's your question, Skip. But instead traveling, what were you on? The plane. You were actually to team business was the question is, would he have been at Shotgun Willie's had it not for them playing a game in Denver, Colorado against the Denver Nuggets?
Okay.
That is the team business that he was on.
Okay, what I don't know, was it his gun? Did the gun belong to one of his friends? Did they come along for the ride? Did they fly separately? They certainly, I don't think they'd be on the team plane with him. I could be wrong about
Let me ask you a
that.
question. How are you going to get a firearm through the airport? Unless they fly private.
Great question. You'd have to fly private.
Now, we know players because they don't go through the airport. They don't go through security. That plane is on the tarmac.
Great point.
And you drive your car to the area, you get out of your car, you get on the plane, and you walk up. So you can do that.
Okay, but Ja can obviously afford to fly his friends private to Denver if he so chose.
That might have been the case.
Okay. Now, back to the biggest point here. Suddenly we hear 4 more games. And it starts to feel like they're going to suspend Ja slowly, like incrementally, to sort of lessen the blow of it. And it's the team doing it, not the commissioner doing it. So the league has not yet spoken on this or acted upon this, right? And maybe they won't. Maybe they will go along with Glendale Police Department and finally say, well, there's nothing to see here. Okay. The thing that caught my eye and ear was the fact that in the team's announcement and in Ja's statement, that the team said he needs help, and Ja says in his statement, I'm going to get help. I don't know how to interpret that because they would not provide any more detail. What does help mean to us? Does it mean psychological, like counseling help? Do you have an alcohol issue, drug issue, some sort of substance abuse issue? It looked like Ja was not quite in his right mind, but do I know that he had that he was in an altered state? I don't know that.
Well, Skip, I mean, if taking your shirt off at a nightclub, man, they'd arrested me about 5 or 6 times. I didn't go out much, but you know best believe old Shea had his shirt off because, you know, they didn't even see this.
Okay, I got it. I got it, and that's all fair. But does he have a problem we don't know about?
We don't.
Okay, well, if that's the problem and you need to get counseling for that, it's going to be way more than 4 more games, right?
Yes.
I mean, it would threaten that you would not be back for the rest of this season. If you have an issue that actually needs to be addressed with you going away to a rehab facility, right? I'm taking it to the nth degree here, but again, they said he needs help and he's going to get help.
Well, I think we're both in agreement, Skip. I think if that's the case, he should take as long as he needs to get the help that he needs.
Absolutely, because his point was, I need to find a better way, a better method of dealing with stress and my overall well-being. Well, that could indicate what we're talking about here, right? How do you cope with stress? A lot of stress. Making a lot of, you got paid, or it hasn't kicked in yet. But is it starting to wear on you? I got to live up to this. I've become the face of the franchise and one of the top new faces of the whole league.
And the expectation that comes along with that.
Huge expectations. Okay, now back to the league. The league has to care the most about, from a league perspective, how does this look? Is it a bad look? Well, clearly,
Of course it is.
We have the previous incidents. We go back to the mall incident in which he got into it with the head of security at the mall, who felt so threatened that he filed a police report against Ja and his friends at the mall. Then we had the incident with the 17-year-old. allegedly he struck him at least a dozen times and then brandished a gun to the 17-year-old. I'm sure he's mentoring him, and they were playing some sort of pickup basketball at his house, okay? And then we had the incident
The Pacers at the
against
loading
the
dock.
Pacers, and you see the red laser dot, and the head of security for the Pacers says that had to come from a gun. And Ja was reportedly in the car from which the red laser dots were emanating,
Yes.
right? It's just bad look, bad look, bad look. Gun association, gun association, gun association, and then visible gun association dangling the gun by the butt end of the gun.
Correct.
Okay, so what does the NBA do as far as conduct unbecoming? Because these leagues, as you well know about the league you played in, what they care the most about is the image of the league. It's everything.
Yep.
Right?
Well, I don't know what they call it in the NBA, but they call it in the NFL protecting the shield.
Yeah.
Protect the shield at all costs.
Okay.
NFL, that's the most important thing to those 32. Not the 1,600 players that play in it, that NFL shield. And the advertising dollars and the broadcasting dollars that shield brings in.
Okay. So for sneaker sales, you can argue, oh, that's good. Street cred is good. But for a whole lot of other sales that the NBA leans on, depends on, it's lifeblood of the whole league, it's not good at all.
I'm sure, Skip, I'm sure Nike had internal conversations.
At some point,
It's like, okay, what do we do? Do we terminate? Because we've seen them terminate contracts. Do we suspend? Do we put him on a probation period? Do we call him in and talk to him and his representative, say any further incidences like this, and this contract is going to be null and void? They're having there's no question in my mind that they're having conversation because it's too big of a situation for them not to have conversations about this.
Yeah. So my next question is, in 4 more games, will we then be told it's going to be at least 4 more games? Is that how we're going to do the quote-unquote suspension?
Probably, Skip, I don't think the NBA really wants to suspend Ja because, as you mentioned, he is the face of the Grizzlies. He's one of the faces of the NBA. And so maybe by the Memphis Grizzlies doing what they're doing, it will lessen the blow, and the NBA will say, you know what, I think that's enough. Be it 6 games, 8 games, 12 games, or how many games? There's probably 20 games left in the season. Gilbert Arenas got 50 games for what he did.
Yep.
So obviously, and you don't want 50 games, Skip, because that's the playoffs and that bleeds into next year. I think the NBA wants to try to put this behind them as soon as they possibly can. So by the Memphis Grizzlies taking the steps that they're taking, maybe the NBA says, okay, that is enough. But don't think the NBA is just like wash their hands with this and they're sitting on their hands and hoping this goes away. Because they punishment, and they want to levy some level of punishment, Skip, because they don't want anybody else to do this. That's what punishment is meant to do. Not only punish the offender, but to deter others from doing said act.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what I've said the last couple of times we've dealt with this. I'm still holding out hope that because Ja demonstrated a year ago on the basketball court that he could win Most Improved Player by hard work off the court, by looking in the mirror and saying, I got to fix that, and I got to improve that, and I got to be way better over there at that.
Okay.
He became a much better free throw shooter. He became a much better three-point shooter, and he upped his scoring average by 5 points. These are all big, significant gains. Like he was a 30% three-point shooter, and he shot 34. And you say, well, that's not great. It's a quantum leap from 30% over 70-odd games to 34%. The point is, because he demonstrated that to me, and I keep trying to be a fan of his, it seems like he's got the capacity, he has the internal ability to look in the mirror again and say, off the court, I got to become the most improved player.
Yes.
I got to fix all the things that are wrong in my life.
Right.
He showed that ability.
Skip, I think he came in the NBA at the right time because we already know David Stern would have shot him down. Adam Silver is more of a player's commissioner. He's going to talk to these guys. David Stern dropped the hammer and then talk to you after he dropped the hammer because if I'm not mistaken, he suspended Melo. And Melo said, Coach, he said, Commissioner, why you do me like this? He said, you want to be in the streets or you want to be in the NBA? He said, you're a corporation now. You're a business. Well, I need you to act accordingly.
Remember, David Stern presided over an early period where the league was failing.
Yeah.
It was just failing because
Too much fighting was going on.
There was just too much going on, and there was too much extracurricular, and there was it was more football, basketball,
Right.
and there was too much controversy going on.
Right.
And he cracked down, and
Right.
he said, "We got to
change that image.
We got to change it completely and radically, and
Yeah.
there's only one way for me to do it, and it's with
Right.
an iron fist. I'm going to
Correct.
drop the iron
Right.
fist."
Right.
Okay. Adam Silver can be tough when it's time to be tough.
Right.
I'm surprised he has not spoken out yet, but I think he's trying to let this situation play out
Yes.
a little bit more. And again, the key to me is getting help. If he knows that behind the scenes, Ja is actually getting help,
right.
well, then maybe he's hands off, where he
Yes.
says, okay, I'm going to let this play.
Yeah.
And I'll let Memphis do the quote-unquote dirty work.
I agree.
They'll be the ones who keep saying, it's going to be a few more games.
Who
right?
knows? They might, maybe they're in contact with the NBA.
Yep.
But it seems to me Adam Silver is a lot more methodical, a lot more deliberate in his actions.
Yep.
He doesn't rush to do anything, but he does listen to the players. He's listened to the players when it came to Donald Sterling.
He did.
listened to the players.
I mean, that was his first act of
As soon
business.
as, he's like, damn,
Yeah.
this is when I get dumped in my lap as soon as I become commissioner.
Yep.
And then we saw what happened in the bubble skip with the George Floyd situation.
Yep.
And I thought he did a great job of
did.
handling that. Adam, that's what you think about this? How you handle that, Adam? The way you handle that, we really like that.
Yep.
And so for me, I think he's handling it the right way. He's not doing a whole lot of talking. They're dotting their I's, crossing their T's, and whatever punishment, they might not even punish him. As you said, it might be deemed enough that the Memphis Grizzlies has taken this as far as they need to go.
Yep.
Ja, hey, I'm gonna call him in though, Skip. Oh, you absolutely. He coming to New York.
Yeah.
And he's going to sit across from the table like you and I sitting across from each other, and we're going to have a real heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah.
Don't come back in here.
Good point.
Don't come back in here.
I'm hoping for the best outcome here.
Yeah. Next time I see you, you better have me a Harry and David basket. It'll be a nice gift basket.
Yeah, I got it.
Hopefully this is a good wake-up call for him, and it ends here, gentlemen. Yep. Well, there are a lot of games unfolding on the court tonight, and one of those, Warriors-Grizzlies. How heated is it going to get, gentlemen? Plus, how concerned should the Suns be about Kevin Durant's injury? Skip and Shannon dive in when we come back. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.